Hi everybody, my name is Cindy Gay and today's lesson is about adding crochet embellishments to your hooked rug. That can be an exciting way to maybe combine two of your favorite crafts. Now if you don't know how to crochet, it's a simple crochet, either a chain stitch or a single crochet, and you'll want to practice it. Make a small scarf or something, put some time into it, learn the skill before you apply it to your rug so that you get your tension right. The actual act of pulling the loops is incredibly simple, but you want your tension to look nice because you don't want it a hot mess on your rug, right? So let me show you, first I'm going to explain what it's not. What I'm not talking about today is what I talked about just a little while ago, which is a crocheted finish. That's crocheting the very outside edge of your finish. I'm not talking about that today. Although what I didn't say in that video that you can do is you could take that crocheted finish and you could do multiple rows of crochet and put a ruffle on it. Do whatever it is you want to do. Okay, get creative. But what I like about a crochet stitch is how it bulks up the yarn. It makes the yarn a little bit more sturdy. Okay, so if you're not used to hooking with yarn, yarn can be a little bit limp. You know, it's not as thick. Oh. Okay, so that looked like a junk phone number. If not, I'll be calling it back after, but I'm going to put this. Sorry, I always do this, and then my husband's not available, so I didn't give him my phone. Sorry about that. Joys of live video. So where was I? So the crocheted stitch actually bulks it up. You can take a regular piece of yarn or even a strip of wool, and there's a lesson for that in the Creative Stitches course on making a chain stitch with it. But it can often end up a little bit on the flat side. So when you do a single crochet, it stands up. And even with thinner yarn, it tends to be about the same height as a loop, but it's going to look different than a loop, right? Because it's going to have that top of the crochet on it. So let me show you how I used it. Let me show you in a sample. This is just an abstract rug that I was playing around with this spring, and I haven't really gotten anywhere with it because I got busy with a few other things. And I put a little bit of crochet on this. This is a row of single crochet, and I knew I was going to run into this. So I shot a little video of it. So let me play that for you because you'll be able to see it a little bit closer. So here's the crochet. The part that's standing up nice and tall, that's a double crochet. And it's on a curve, going right around that hooking. When I got to the end, I just sort of dipped down and went into a single crochet, sort of off randomly into no particular direction. So what's nice about it is that you can put it wherever it is that you want, right? So think about if you're doing vegetation, I was going to do a demo on that. If you're doing vegetation, think about how, like that algae, there's a certain kind of algae that kind of turns into a wrinkle. And this would be perfect for something like that. You could do it for the edge of a flower to make it stand up. You could do it on a ton of different things. And I'll show you an application that I did after I show you how I do it. Now, of course, like anything else, doing a straight line. Oh, I didn't set up that camera. Did I set up that camera? No, I didn't. Okay, so I'm going to have to show you this way, holding it up. So you get a piece of yarn. And you start it pretty much the same way you would create a regular crochet. Is you stick your hook into the work you already have done, and you're going to pull up a loop. And then I pull both of what's already there through that first loop. And then I'm going to take this loose thread, and I'm actually going to crochet over that so that the end disappears, so I don't have to weave in any kind of ends later. And then all I'm going to do is grab a small bite of my backing and do a simple crochet. So if you know how to crochet, you know how to do this. I will shoot some special videos, since I forgot to set up that camera, for the replay inside the rug hooking journey. I'll have a down view so that you can see this a little bit more clearly. But the trick to this is you have to fold it so that you have just an edge like this that you go in and you grab a small bite of. But if you're hooking on a curve, all you have to do is like refold it for every stitch that you do so that you're working around a curve. And I didn't make much progress on that circle. But here you can see a little bit of an arch just by folding it each time. But this is how it looks like on the top. See how you end up seeing what looks almost like a braid or a chain, but it's high enough because it's sitting up that high. It's high enough that it's not getting lost flat down next to the loops, okay? So I was doing a demo piece of this earlier today, and I thought this would be really cool to do if you had a rug, like you were doing an interior scene and there was a little braided rug on the floor. You could do this if you get your tension right. Not for a beginner crocheter, but if you're an experienced crocheter and you can control your tension, you could hook little oval circles of colors and it's going to look just like a braided rug, okay? The other way that I've done that has nothing to do with crochet is to simply make a little braid and sew it onto the rug and do that for rows and rows and rows and hook the rest of it around it, and you end up with a very realistic effect, right? But I love this little effect. So let me show you how I use it. Okay. So this is a rug that I started a long time ago. And the whole story was about the kids. We went to a park with my mom and dad, and they were picking dandelions. And my mom was showing them how to tie the dandelions together to make dandelion necklaces, right? And it was one of those magical days that everybody remembers. Okay, there was just something about it. Now, one of the things that the kids had were sweaters that I had made for them. Jenny's sweater was crocheted. It came down a little bit past her hips. It had her name across the back. It had a collar that stood up. It had white ruffled crocheted edge around the edge of the collar and around the cuffs. Bobby's looked more like a baseball jacket. And the back of his name's Robert, but we always called him Bear. So on the back of his, it said Bear. And it had sort of a cinched waist. And I crocheted them without a pattern. It was just one of those, okay, stand still, let me see if that's big enough for you. And as they got bigger, if I had to add to it or whatever, I simply did. And we were pretty frugal. I was able to make these little sweaters last for them a very, very long time. Well, I had no intention of doing this when I chose this piece to hook. And the more I got to thinking, someone had bought yarn, and I thought, oh, that's cool. That looks like the color that I used to do Jenny's crochet little lace around here. And one thing led to another. I went out, I bought some yarn. It wasn't what I was crazy about. It wasn't my favorite. But I just played around with the idea of crocheting that into the backing, and I really, really love it. Really, really love it. So that's what adding the crochet is. But what I'm excited about is the idea of using it on, you know, an abstract piece like this, maybe not a piece that sits up that high. If I kept it all at single crochet, if I pop that out, see the single crochet ends up being about the same height as the loops. And so I think that works out just fine. Let me see what you got in questions. Elizabeth saying, could you do the crochet once the rug is complete? It would add such a beautiful fern. You probably could, but then it's going to sit on top of the fern. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be embedded in the rug. So it just depends on what you want to do. So Rennie says, help, I don't know how to crochet. YouTube videos. You can learn everything. I have learned advanced computer programming languages from YouTube videos. YouTube videos will do that. I do know of someone, and if you can't find it, I know his brand. He does YouTube videos. They're all in yellow. And he does quite a bit with that. It's pretty simple, but make a scarf first. Don't do this first. It's not a time or a place for that. Would you still be able to put it on the floor when using crochet this way? If it doesn't stick up, I don't see why not. If it sticks up past, like the way I had it before, then I would say no. The way I have it on this one, I would say no, because it sticks up more than what the rug is. It's going to cause a trip hazard. And usually if you're doing that, it's more of an art piece going on the wall anyways, right? Pat says, so excited to think about the many possibilities using this technique. There's a lot that you can do. And yeah, it looks like BJ beat me to it. She said, Rennie, just YouTube it and you will learn. It's simple to do a single crochet. What I would recommend is, this is a perfect time of year, make a scarf, okay? Just make a simple scarf and then just knock yourself out with that. It's like rug hooking. You have to hook so many hundred loops before you get the idea of the tension and the height and all that kind of good stuff. And it's the same way with crochet. Just make a scarf. Once you make a scarf, sky's the limit. You can do anything you want at that point. Lucy said, could you show the face on this place? It looks so, oh, but they're not complete. Here's the two little faces. They need some work. They need some work. They need hair. They need background. They need quite a bit of little stuff before you call that finished. Faces are funny that way. And I do have the face lesson coming relatively quickly. So watch for that in case you want to jump in on the face lesson. Kimberly says that double crochet would make the perfect caterpillar on the bark of a tree. Ooh, yeah, especially if you use some like fuzzier yarn. He would be a little bit thicker and he could stick out a little bit. Ooh, that could do weird things, couldn't it? And Olivia says endless possibilities. Jess is saying, this is great. I was doing some with just a flat chain on backing, but making it a single crochet is a great idea. Yeah, it gives you that little extra bit of height. I've never been happy with the flat crochet, which is why it always bothered me that I had left that lesson in the Creative Stitches course and I had never added this lesson. So now it has both. So, and Jess is agreeing with Kimberly. We're all thinking about caterpillars right now, right? And it would be a great way to sort of do that, but just to add any kind of stuff going on. I was doing the double crochet and I was doing it where I did a single and then I turned and I went back and I was doing, I think, 3 double and then a single and then 3 double and then a single. And of course it was causing it to wrinkle, right? Because there's more stitches there than what there are at the feet, right? But what if you did that on a sheep? You know how they end up with almost like these like rings or these sheets of fleece that come off of them? What if you studied a fleece and you understood what direction to do the single crochet in, and then you had a really cool yarn, like the yarn we learned about at the hook-in the other day. Ooh, I might just hook a sheep just for that reason. I might buy a skein of that yarn just to hook a sheep, to do a sheep like that. That's interesting. Okay, yeah, now my juices are going, right? What else? Could I show the back? Oh wait, yeah. Would you please show the back of the rug where you crocheted? It's going to be tough because it's white on white, so you're not really going to be seeing anything. So, but it doesn't look much different than what hooking would. You know, so there's a little bit there, a little bit there. There's some here, and there's some. It's not focusing. There it is. So it's kind of white on white, so it's hard to see, but it looks the same as what hooking would do because it's just a loop going underneath. Okay. Well, that's it as far as questions go, it looks like, for the crocheted embellishment. But I hope you find a ton of different ways to add this into your projects. What about anything else? What other questions do you have that maybe don't have anything to do with crochet? I'm going to take a little sip while you guys roll them in. And that's fine. If we don't have ideas, we'll just end the broadcast a little bit early. And then if you do have additional questions and you think of them tomorrow, head out to the hook-in. I'll be there and I take questions during the hook-in, so you can ask then. What weight would work? Whatever weight you want to work with. I would try it. I don't think I'd want a bulky because it'd be really a lot of pressure coming through that backing. So I would rather see you do multiple rows with a thinner yarn than a thicker yarn. I just can't imagine a thicker yarn being any fun to crochet with, for one thing, in a little area to make it look like something. Okay. Could you use this embellishment off the frame? Could you use this embellishment? Kathy, I'm not sure what you're asking me. When you create it, you have to create it off the frame because you have to fold the backing so that you can stick your hook in. Can you use it off the frame? You can use it on anything that you're hooking. What about the paint brochures? Oh crap, Heather, I forgot about those. Let's go back up to the beginning. Heather had a great comment at the beginning. She said, I went paint brochure shopping today and had a lot of fun doing it. What a great idea. Now I want to hit the paint department at every hardware store I go to. What Heather is talking about, it's a lesson inside the color planning course, and it's all about putting together your palette. I've got the course broken up into a couple of sections. One is create your palette, one is prepare the pattern, choose your background, and then start hooking. And there's different things that you need to know at different steps along the way. And I use a paint brochure to help you to understand how colors become a collection of colors. And if you are collecting, say, antique cars, and you're also collecting rolling pins, they're both collections, but they have nothing to do with each other. So a piece of antique wool and a piece of bright wool, they're both in your wool collection, but they have nothing to do with each other. You really can't use them together. So what you need to do is to have the right collection. Maybe you only need one collection, just that one kind of wool that works for you. Or maybe you're one of those people who like to do a little bit of everything and you're kind of helter-skelter all over the place, which is fine. But when you are ready to hook a rug, you pick a focus and figure out what that focus is, and that's what gets invited into that rug. And the paint brochures are a great way of doing it. Those people spend hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars every year to develop those silly little paint brochures. And if you look at them, let me grab one really quick. So like here's one. This one's called Casual. This one's called Serene. They both have various colors on them, but they don't have the same kind of colors. What about here? This one's very obvious. This one's Casual. This one's Festive. Okay? The green on this one is much different than the green on this one, right? But they both have green. They both have a red, they both have a yellow, they both have blues, but they have different kinds of blues, different kinds of reds, different kinds of greens. And that's what a paint brochure helps you to figure out. You know what you like when you see it. You might not necessarily know what you like to describe it. Does that make sense? And having a paint brochure, and as I told Heather when she first came on, I says, it helps you to think about the color as a collection, and it makes color planning much less scary. So that's what we were talking about with the color planning lesson. Okay, ooh, you guys have been busy. So Wakefield says, I may have singed my rug steaming it. Only if you use non-wool. If you use non-wool, yeah, you got to be super, super careful. Nylon will melt, rayon will melt, other things, acrylic could melt. I only use 100% wool yarn and wool fabric. You can't singe those, okay? Maybe you could if you turned it up super high, but why turn it up super high? You need it hot enough to create a steam. And when I steam, I don't go steam, 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 and go over it 20 times. The whole idea is to get the steam into the rug. So put the steamer or the iron on the rug and hold it there. And you wait, and you wait. And it stops making a noise because the rug or the rag that you put down over it is damp, right? Now you're going to move it again. And then you wait and you daydream and you wait. If you're getting close to the point where you need another damp rug, this is the time when you run off and you get it damp so that when you come back and you move it, you'll be ready for the next time. And you just slowly move your rug along. Once you do it once, you don't necessarily have to go back over it 10 times. You do if you're steaming it like this, because you're not giving it time. What you want to do is you want to relax those fibers. And once those fibers are relaxed, when they dry, they're going to dry in the position that you leave them in. So don't pick them up and roll them up, because then they're going to stay perpetually curved. Leave it super flat. And leave it flat for a longer than you think you ever need to. I leave it for a good week. Then, and only then, do I roll it up. If it feels cool to the touch, it is still damp. Even though it feels dry, it is still damp. How do you finish a round hooked pillow? I tried to do a cloth facing like you do on a square pillow, butt ends, but it didn't work. You could do that. Round pillows, I just don't make round pillows because they're too hard to finish. You're gonna have to do a lot of stay stitching so that they don't distort. I did a while back about how to finish a round rug. That lesson would be useful. And that might help you to understand how to do it for a pillow. To sew on a facing, you'd almost have to cut it out curved. I don't think you couldn't sew on a flat one per se. Depends on the style of your pillow though, because if you want square ends, I don't know. You would really have to be advanced to do it that way. Just to finish it round though, and to have it look nice is going to be a struggle no matter what method you use. For a rug that's going on the floor, can you do tail, loop tail, or even two tails when you do things like little flowers or stars? Would they stay in? They stay in as good as a single loop would, okay? As long as you're hooking to the same tension. Now, if you're doing fine cut on primitive linen, it's not going to work, right? You need fine cut linen or use rugwork because you can use that on every size. The problem with with primitive linen is that there just aren't enough holes to hold it tight. And my linen rugs, the loops fall out. So I could see why you would be concerned. But if you ever tried rugwork, you wouldn't even bother to ask that question because they ain't coming out once they're in. Gabriella says, do you think that other stitches with crochet or embroidery can use in rug hooking just for 3D different effects? Absolutely. You could do that shell stitch in crochet. You could do embroidery on top of the loops. Okay, hook an area solid and then go in and hook on top. I did that with this little guy. The strawberries on the bottom. Oh my God, look at the cat hair on that. Okay, well, we all have animals, right? Or if you don't and you don't understand, that's just too bad. I have animals, so they're going to get hairy. But these strawberries down here, those little dots are not hooked. They're stitched on top of the loops after the fact. Now, one thing that I carefully did is the strawberries are not the same color all the way through either. Just as the strawberry shades, the seeds are shading too. So that's another thing that you can do if you've got a tiny little effect that you want and you're just fussing with the loops. Just stitch it on top of the loops. Michelle says, sorry, forgot the question marks. You're fine. What kind of hook did you use? Crochet hook or regular hook? I used my hooking hook, but you can definitely use a crochet hook. I think it might be a little bit easier because you could adjust the size to the size of the yarn. This felt a little on the small side for the yarn I was using, but it doesn't really matter. If you over dye a light plaid with dark lines, does the process cause some of the dye to come out of the dark lines and mute their color? No, unless it could if you're soaking in soap, which is a whole nother ball game. When I dye wool, I do not soak it in soap because soap is very alkaline and that causes the dye to bleed. I use Syntherpol, which is pH neutral, and that doesn't cause any kind of bleeding. So I use Syntherpol for that. Patrice says, where do you find these paint brochures? My local paint stores don't have anything like this anymore, mostly just variations of off-white, etc. You might have to go to like a True Value or a Benjamin Moore paint store or something like that, but Home Depot looked like they had them the other day. I didn't look real close, but that's any place you get good paint, I would think they would have it. So Elizabeth said, Monday at Home Depot is green, Tuesday is red, Wednesday's blue. Paint chips help a great deal for shading. So if I understand this right, Elizabeth, you don't want to go in there and take like 20 different paint brochures. So you're going in every day. If that's what that means. That's brilliant. Okay. Heather says, I love the fold forward finish, but sometimes my edge gets a bit wavy. What am I doing wrong? Probably not anything you're doing wrong. I would first guess that you're probably using linen. Linen's not always the easiest to work on. But my friend Star had a great tip for using, and it's on YouTube. So it's about putting a very small, one of those double-ended knitting needles that you use for making socks. So like a teeny tiny size, okay? You can cut off part of a hanger if you have any more of those wire hangers sitting around, and just finish off the edge, some sandpaper so it's smooth, and then you just put that in while you're whipping and you move it along as you're going. I use rug warp and I never have any issue, but because the rug warp is more dense, linen is more relaxed, and it can get distorted if you pull some tighter than others. Rug warp is much more forgiving from that point of. Mary says, cut the facing on the bias. I'm assuming she's maybe talking about the pillow. Yeah, that on a circle you'd almost have to. Deb says there was a pillow back in the day that they did pleats to make a round pillow. It curved great. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Great for coronavirus too. Not sure what is great for coronavirus. Full sentences, ladies, so that I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what that means. Patrice says, love the idea of stitching the strawberry seed on top of the loops. Thanks for the tip. You are welcome. How about beading? Well, beading is covered inside the Creative Stitches course. So that's already there. If you don't have access to the Creative Stitches course, you might not be a member of the Rug Hooking Journey. And that's where all that good stuff is. So it's inside the Rug Hooking Journey. Heather says, if you use the needle for the fold forward finish with linen, do you still need to use cording so it doesn't lay too flat? Yes, you do, because that's a permanent condition for linen. Linen is not thick enough. You have to put a cording in there to bulk it up, because 2 rows of rug warp, once you fold it once and you fold it a second time, it's got this much thickness in between it, and it prevents it from folding flat. Linen doesn't have that. It's too thin. So you got to put that extra little bit of linen in, or of cording in there, so that when you fold it twice, it still has some bulk to it. And that'll also help with keeping it from getting uneven and wavy. That's why I like rug warp. You don't have to do any of that. Jess says, Kimberly, a bullion crochet I can't talk. Crochet stitch would make a really cool caterpillar. Okay, now I gotta look that up. I gotta look up what that is, because I have crocheted my entire life. That was the first thing I learned how to do. I think I was 5 when my mom first handed me a crochet, and I would make little wonky little clothing for my baby dolls. Jan says, I had a gal ask me what is the best backing to hook with, and I was excited to tell her rug warp. How about that? Yay, Jan. Yeah, I think linen gets this little boost of being the best backing because it's the most expensive. Okay. As far as life term goes, they both last the same amount of time. Cotton and linen fibers rot. There's I can never remember the word. There's a scientific word, like specific gravity for a mineral. This is like resivicity or something. I mean, some kind of a word. One of these days I'll look it up and I'll remember it. But it's the rate at which it rots. Linen and cotton on this long scale are like right next to each other. They're buddies. Wool is way down there. It's going to last longer than both of them. And burlap, way back over there. So burlap's going to rot really, really quickly. Then cotton, then linen, then wool. But cotton and linen are so close that it's negligible. Heather says, I'm going to buy some rugwarp. Yay! And I have some dirty rugwarp if you want. It's a long story. I had a shipping nightmare, but I got some that I'm selling on discount if anyone's looking for a discount. How about a popcorn stitch? Ooh. Oh, we can make some really incredible critters, couldn't we? Oh, wow. So Elizabeth says, okay, so I need to get access to all that good stuff. Rug cooking journey, here I come. In it, yeah, the rug cooking journey is sort of my depository where all my best teaching, all my best ideas go. And it is a great value from the standpoint, particularly if you've been a member for a year or more, you are eligible for the VIP, and you probably have that sitting in your dashboard. So let me show you what that looks like, because there was a little confusion about that this week, and it was confusion that unfortunately I had caused because I didn't know what I was doing. So over here in the membership dashboard, if you have this little badge, VIP eligible, or down here, VIP eligible, if you click on that, it will take you, I'm not sure what mine will do. Let me see if it goes to the right place or not. It did. Okay. So it brings you to this welcome to VIP status where you can upgrade. And you can upgrade for a cheaper rate than what is currently being offered to the public. Okay, so that's the best benefit. Now, up until yesterday, if you weren't eligible, you might have seen a message down here that says, congratulations, you're eligible for VIP status. I had to take that away because it's only for people who are truly eligible. So when you are eligible, I'm doing everything I can to help you find it, okay? Whoops. Let me go back here. Why is my cursor doing, all I have to do is, I just want to go up. Oh, I have to put my cursor over here. So this little box up here where it says VIP eligible, this one down here, and then I'm not sure why it's not showing up here then, because on this account, it should show up. I have to look into that. But when you click on it, it's going to lower your rate. And the sooner you click on it, the more money you're going to spend. So let's say that you have just bought and renewed at the full 1 year price. And now you're noticing the VIP eligible. And you're like, oh, I should have done that. You can still do it. Just make sure you're logged in, and you can confirm that by seeing your name here. Click the VIP eligible. And what it's going to do, it's going to tell you that as of right now, your credit card will be charged $0. Next year, you'll be charged this rate, which is something even lower than the VIP rate, because it's going to take whatever credit you've built up and apply it to your bill next time. And then finally, 2 years from then, you'll get billed at the full rate. But the problem is, the longer you wait, the less time you're going to have unused time on your account. So the sooner you upgrade, the better off you are. Now, one benefit, right now, that's the only benefit that VIP members get, is they get this much reduced rate. Once you lock it in for 1 year, you're locked in. That's your rate. You keep it until you cancel your account. If you would leave for whatever reason and want to come back, you can do that. You just sign up at whatever the current yearly or monthly price is, wait until you're a member for a year, and then move into VIP status. But one of the extra cool benefits that are coming down the line is I just finished out with 2 groups of people a virtual online workshop class. And when I offer that for enrollment, guess who gets asked first? My VIP members. They get first crack at becoming members of that virtual online workshop. Once they're done and their time limit has expired in a day or so, then I'll ask members of the rug cooking journey. Then if I still have room, then I'll go to the general public and ask for people to join at that point. So being a member, particularly being a VIP member, will help you to get to in some of these insider things that are a little bit more limited. So that's what that's for. And Kim is encouraging Elizabeth. She says you won't regret it. Kim's been a member for a long time. Rennie says, what is rugwort made out of? Did you say it was wool? No, it is cotton. So it's 100% cotton. Think mummies. Okay, it's lasted all that time for the mummies. It'll last for us. Jess is saying, imagine popcorn stitches or other bobble stitches. Ooh. Kim, she says the rug hooking journey is actually a backdoor access to Cindy's brain feed, full of great stuff. Oh, yes. Heather says, yes, it is linen. I'll have to try rugwort. I'm not sure where that conversation came from. We're still talking about crochet. What about grapes? Ooh, bunches of grapes. Okay, you guys are just on a roll here now. Ann Ledger says, I found it. I'm not sure what she found. Lana says, how long does one have to be in the rug hooking journey to be eligible? 1 year. 1 year. So even if you did, let's say you did 3 months monthly, because this is a very common path, because I tell people if you're unsure, do it for a month. And then if you're unsure, then you can upgrade to a year, which they'll do because they want to stay. And then when they get to a year, not when that year is out, but when they're from a year from the very beginning, they'll see that, they'll get that email, and then they'll see that badge on their dashboard, and then they can upgrade to VIP access at that time. And they'll have a nice credit that they'll be able to use moving forward. So it works out really good. So you need to be a member for 1 year. That's my thank you for people who stick around, is you get the best possible rate. Debbie says, oh, you guys are sweet. She goes, love the rug hooking journey. Well worth it. Great reference. You can keep going back if you have senior moments like me. Now a VIP member. Yay. Kimberly's jinxing her. Donna says, I think rugwort is the best backing to use for rug hooking. I think so too. A lot of people don't use rugwort because they've never heard of it. You know, all they've heard of is linen. It's like all they've heard of is Cushing dyes. I don't think Cushing dyes are the best either. I think Pro Chem is much cheaper. So it's just a matter of what you get exposed to on that. Elizabeth saying, when will the next online class start? I assume you're talking about the virtual online workshop. I haven't worked out the exact schedule yet because I have to watch how the holidays fall and how many classes we're going to have and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I learned from the test class is that it'll be available for enrollment, and then there'll be like a 2 or 3 week period for preparation where there's no classes, where you can communicate with me and get wool sent to you if you need it, or order a pattern or whatever. Then we'll pick up with classes. So I have to work out that whole schedule. So that is on my docket for later today or tomorrow to get that figured out, so I can figure out when the next one will be. Lori says, are you going to do another dye recipe book? It won't be another. It'll be a rewrite of the existing one. I actually need to rewrite all 3 books and get them published. Yeah, it's just a matter of I need to go away for a week and just lock myself on some balcony overlooking a beach somewhere, and then just edit the daylights out of it and then come back and get it printed, and at least I would be done with it. So, hey Kim, you want to go? That might be a good way to do it. Olivia says, I'm never buying monk's cloth again, especially for yarn hooking. Yeah, not my favorite. Monk's cloth can be stretchy, particularly on the edges, and it can do a little bit of a hula weave out there. I like rugwort. It stays dead straight. If it's not dead straight when you buy it, you just straighten it out. your courses, does everyone do the same project? Rarely. I might offer that from time to time, but usually not. No, usually most of us are unique enough where we all have our own interests, and it's all different for each of us, right? So we each have to do our own thing. So monk's cloth is for needle punch. Well, there are people who use it for rug hooking. Yeah, unfortunately, it's the most common backing that I see in kits, and that's unfortunate, because I think we lose a lot of rug hookers, because it's also the most difficult backing to hook into. It is very difficult. And all I can say is, yeah, let's go. We had such a good time last time. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, boy, that's embarrassing. That is really covered in here. I gotta move that and clean that. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We'll continue the discussion tomorrow. Head on out to the hook-in if you haven't been to a hook-in. And I know you're stuck indoors like the rest of us. There's no hooking, with the group, unless maybe your group is meeting outside and they're going to extreme, but there's no regular groups. There's no rug hooking workshops. None of that's happening. It's going to be that way for a while. So come on over, hook with us. We're hooking twice a week. There are times when I don't have hooking that I can dedicate that much time to. I've got other stuff that I have to get done. I sat here one time with the group and I filed bills in paperwork into my filing system. But it didn't matter. I was here with you guys. That's what counted. So come with us. Bring whatever you've got to work on. If you don't have something to work on, bring a beverage of your choice. It is Saturday after all, right? We'll see you over there. Perfect. Yep. Oh, and for anyone who is, Donna's reminding me thank you, Donna, because I had trouble last Tuesday. For those of you who are a member of the charter class of the Design Your Own Landscape course, head on over to the Zoom room. I'll see you there at 5:30. Okay. That's it, everybody. Bye for now.